Hi guys, happy Tuesday. Hope you're doing all right, not getting too bored or out of your mind. I have a puppy that's scratching at the door wanting in here, but I won't let him in because as soon as I let him in, he's gonna want out. So he's kind of like a toddler like that. So if you hear a weird knocking or scratching, that is what is going on. So wore my Kansas City Chiefs shirt today, Chiefs fans, just trying to think of better days, I guess, when we could still watch football on TV. So what I'm going to do today, I'm going to give you a quick rundown, a reminder of the assignments going on, and then going to do a short talk about resources because your next speech, your really first speech that you're going to be giving, your informative speech, you will be required to have at least 4 sources. So if you've already written papers and done things like that, then you're familiar with sources and citing sources, but we will definitely be going over that. So assignment wise, I will pull up, let's see, I'm going to pull up the assignment page just so I can show you. So tonight is your topic proposal, and I know a lot of you, that is due tonight, by the way. I know a lot of you have already gotten those turned in. Thank you for that. I've graded a few of them. I will finish grading all of those today so that you will get some feedback that you can use to work on your outline. But as long as I okay your topic proposal, you are good to go to start working on your speech and start working on your outline, which will be due on April 23rd here, and you will be uploading that to the website as well. And I was going to show you the informative speech assignment that I posted yesterday, just so you can get familiar. So if you go into your modules, informative speech instructions, there's a lot of handy information here. It gives you the instructions for the speech, the time limit, 5 to 7 minutes, 4 sources. It's going to be due April 30th. You are welcome to do them earlier. You will be recording it and uploading it to YouTube. So if you have not yet created a Gmail account that you will use for your YouTube login, there's instructions for that posted as well under announcements. So here's the basic rundown. There's rubrics posted. There's the requirements for what you need to line up in your video. So kind of similar to what this lady has. So basically, I want to see your face. I want to see your arms. I want to see at least, somewhere around mid-thigh, knees, but doesn't need to be full body. You want a plain background. You don't want a lot going on in the background. You want to make sure it's quiet and just not a lot of busy, distracting stuff in the video is the main thing. So anyway, you can find all of that information now. It is all posted under modules. And so hopefully that will help you. So once again, topic proposals due tonight, outlines due on April 23rd, and then the speeches will be due on April 30th. And I will be posting information on the next speech here in the next week too for your persuasive speech. So I will get you going on that. So let's talk about sources. Gathering materials. So the reason this is so important is because if you are informing us and you are teaching us about a topic, we want to know, okay, where did you get that information? How is it credible? Why should we believe you? So that's why sourcing your materials is so important. So a lot of different sources you can use. Your own knowledge, your own experience is perfectly acceptable. If you can tell a story, that is the best way to get a topic across. I think telling a personal story of experience on your topic is the best way to start your speech with an attention getter. If you've got a personal story, gosh, isn't that way more interesting and way more relatable than just giving us facts and figures? So knowledge Very, very important. Unfortunately, you can't cite that as a source in this speech, but it is a great way to show credibility. So obviously, you're not going to be able to go to the library right now on campus, but you can log in and have access to all these references through your My OTC website. So you're going to be able to find a lot of these sources there. The best the best guidelines for your sources are that it's recent. You don't want to get an article or something that's 5 years or 10 years old. You want it from a credible source, so from a news outlet that we're familiar with, that has a good reputation. Same with newspapers, databases, things like that. Academic databases are good because if you know this, then good for you. They are peer reviewed, which means somebody in their academic world and their topic area has reviewed the article and said, yep, this is okay, it's good to go, and then it gets published. So it's a little bit more regimented how they get reviewed that way. So yeah, your catalog in your normal library, obviously a good place to find sources. Reference work, reference material, they're all online now, not when I was a kid, and we actually had a shelf of encyclopedias. I don't know if any of you have ever seen that. I used to love sitting down and just reading an encyclopedia. Well, a lot of them are online now, so you can go there. Encyclopedias, yearbooks, quotation books. Quotation books and online websites for quotes are super, super handy. Not only is it an easy way to find a source, but it's always an interesting way to add some color and add some interesting facts to your speech. If you're stuck on having an attention getter to open your speech, a good quote will always do the trick. Try to make sure it's somebody famous, maybe somebody we're familiar with, somebody with some credibility. And you can always end your speech with a quote too, but quotes are always great. You can find tons of them online. You can find a quote about any topic at all. And obviously biographical aids. If you're doing a speech on a person and you can find a biography on them, then there you go. That's going to be a great source too. So newspapers, magazines, that kind of thing. I know for the most part, you're going to find those online. One of the tough things is a lot of them require a membership to access. I know Springfield News Leader typically requires you to have a subscription. Right now, you guys are in luck because a lot of newspapers are letting that slide because they know people are stuck at home, are wanting to get news about the coronavirus, and they're letting subscriptions they're letting people pass those. So it's actually might be a good time to find some research material that you're not going to have to pay for. Like I said, academic databases, articles from scholarly journals, a great way to find information as well. It's peer reviewed. It's definitely something that is noteworthy and reliable too. So how many of you know what an abstract is? What does abstract mean? So like this says, abstract is a summary. If you look up a lot of articles, when you're Googling them, you might see a paragraph abstract. It's basically a summary of the article. And it's basically telling you, okay, here's what this article has in it. Here's what it's about. So you don't waste your time reading the whole article. You can't just cite the abstract though. That just gives you a heads up on what's in the article to save you some time. Internet searches, yep. That's probably, especially now, where you're going to find most of your material. Just make sure that they are reliable sources. The things I always remind everybody to look for, if it's an internet article, you want to make sure there's an author, there's a date. That kind of narrows it to make it more reliable. Otherwise, if it's just an article and you're reading it, there's no author, there's no date, maybe there's opinions in there, then chances are it's probably a blog or just an opinion that somebody has written. So be careful for using those. Just make sure that they are credible. Wikipedia, not the best resource, obviously, because we found that sometimes Wikipedia can have mistakes. Wikipedia is a great source to find other sources, though, so I would definitely use that. Government resources, very handy. So if you're doing research on, say, for example, the coronavirus in Missouri or in Greene County, yeah, your county websites, your state websites, your .gov websites are all going to be super handy. Government websites a lot of times are great places to find statistics. So if you are doing a informative speech and telling us about the homeless population or the teen homeless population in Springfield or Greene County, a lot of times you're going to find that information on government resource sites. So, like I mentioned before, to make sure a source is credible, you want to make sure there is an author somewhere listed. You want to make sure there is sponsorship, which means where is the article posted? Is it on a reliable website? Is it on a reliable news site, a credible source? And you want to make sure it's recent for a lot of reasons, because information changes and things become not as reliable as the years go by. One of my favorite ways to get information is actually doing an interview. You can do this now. You're going to be limited to doing it over the phone. But if you know somebody personally that has firsthand experience or knowledge in what you're talking about, this is a great way to get information. When I was in grad school and I was actually doing a research paper on teen homelessness in Springfield, because it is a huge problem here. And I did an interview with the gal that was the director at the teen homeless shelter here, Rare Breed. And one thing I learned right off the bat is when you're interviewing somebody, it's a lot easier to record than try to take notes while they're talking, because then you're going to miss a lot. But that is a great way to get firsthand information, and you can definitely use that as one of your cited sources. So if you're doing an interview, you don't want to add yes or no questions. You want to ask questions that will get them to expand on the topic. I've done interviews my whole life in my field in radio, and one of the things I've learned that always makes a great interview is don't always stick to just a set of questions. Sometimes an answer might lead to another question. So you've got to listen and pay attention. And if they say something that maybe sparks a question, go there. Don't be afraid to go there and dig in a little deeper. You don't want to ask leading questions that are looking for a particular answer, and obviously hostile loaded questions are obviously not good either. So, big tips for your research for the speech. Don't start the night before. That is not a good idea. That's not going to give you time to weed out bad research. It's not going to give you time to practice. It's always better to have more sources than you really need. And then if you need to cut time in your speech, or you realize you don't need them all, you can always eliminate some of those. As you're looking through your sources and doing your research, take notes. I used to use note cards. Once I would find information from a source, I would write down what that fact is. I would write the source on it. And that way, when I'm going through and using that information in my speech, I know where to cite it from. I know where it came from. So always take notes when you're researching. If you're doing it online, it's super easy peasy, because you can just highlight it, copy and paste it onto another page and where the source is, and you've got it right there too. So yeah, taking plenty of notes, making a note if your material that you're using is a direct quotation, because then you're going to need to write it and read it verbatim in your speech. And that's the only time it really is okay to read from a speech, is if it's a direct quote. You want to have that on your note card. Or if it's paraphrased, then you can write it in your own words, and that's perfectly fine too. So that is the scoop on resources. I hope that helped. I know for a lot of you, that was probably a review. For some of you, It may seem like a lot if you've not done a lot of research before for research papers or speeches or anything. The big thing is keep in mind you're going to need at least 4 sources. Shortcut for the speech, if you want to use a couple of them as quotations, that's going to save you some time. But just make sure that you have 4 sources. You're going to cite them during the speech, tell us where you got that information, and then on your outline, you're going to include all your sources on your bibliography page on the back page of the outlines. So be sure and like or comment that you watch this so I can count you here. And I appreciate all of you doing that, because then I know that you're okay and you're checked in and you're engaged and you're not just watching Netflix all the time anyway. And I will post another video for Thursday's class. And as always, if you have any questions or comments or anything, you can leave them in the comments below or send me an email. And I am checking that every day. And I hope you're fine, and thinking about you guys. And I know this is weird and it's going to be hard and you're going to have to videotape and upload, but it's what it is. And as long as you do that, you're going to get through the class, and we're going to be fine. Thanks a lot. Bye.